If you are a Golden State Warriors fan, I need your attention right now. Because what just happened isn't just another behind-the-scenes decision. It's the kind of move that shakes everything you believe about this team. Maybe you were already feeling that something didn't fit, that recent decisions were hurting more than helping, and today this feeling takes shape. Golden State has crossed a line, and it exposes a problem that many people have tried to ignore. But calm down, because along with this shock comes the key to understanding why this happened, what is behind this choice, and above all, how this movement could become the turning point that the Warriors needed. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes everything will make sense. Before I move on, I need you with me here. Subscribe to the channel now, as this ensures that you don't miss any important updates from the Warriors, especially at such a decisive time as this. Leave a like too, because this helps the video reach other fans who are feeling exactly the same concern as you. Activate the bell to receive everything in real time, without delay, without noise. And don't leave the video now, because what comes next explains why this decision was made, who is really behind it, and the real impact it could have on Golden State's future. You know those decisions that a champion franchise makes, and, at the time, most people look at it and think, it's not possible that they're doing that? So it is. Some choices seem cold, even harsh. Others give the impression that they go against everything the team said it was building, but time usually puts these decisions in the right place. When you look years later, with another banner raised, with another celebration in the streets, you understand that certain turning points happen precisely because someone had the courage to press a difficult button when no one wanted them to. And I want to talk to you about one of those moments that honestly looks like a watershed for Golden State. It is no exaggeration to say that, in recent days, the Warriors have shown clear signs that they are ready to change the way they will approach this trade deadline. And the feeling is this: the team has entered a phase where it can no longer live on promises of "it will fit in soon," of "it just needs more time." The window is open now, and when the window is now, every decision weighs more than usual. Let's start with the setting, because it explains everything. Stephen Curry still plays at an elite level, and that in itself should trigger a top priority alert within the franchise. It's not common for a player to maintain this level for so long, consistently, carrying night after night a standard of excellence that, if you took the name off the shirt, you'd swear he was a guy 10 years younger. And as if that wasn't enough, the Warriors brought Jimmy Butler into the equation. And Butler isn't just another good player. He brings that big game, competitive, two-pronged mentality of, I'm going to carry the weight when things get bad. This is gold for any team thinking about going far. So, the base exists. The talent is there. But the season didn't turn the key the way everyone imagined. The chemistry still seems under construction. The rotations are still undergoing adjustments. And some players who were seen as pieces of leap forward, evolution, real growth, didn't take that step. In some cases, they even showed signs of retreat. And I'm not saying this to point fingers or diminish anyone. I'm speaking out because this is the kind of reality that a champion organization sees and responds to, rather than ignoring. And then a detail happens that, for many people, goes unnoticed. But for those who follow closely, for those who observe the silent language of basketball, it screams. The game against the Chicago Bulls brought up a situation that is worth more than a box score. A young player with potential who had been part of the rotation and who was already treated as a piece of the future simply stays out. A DNP, without entering, watching everything from the bench with my clothes on. And when that happens in today's NBA, it's rarely just rest. It's rarely just matchup. Most of the time, it's a message, it's evaluation, it's direction. It's a sign that something is moving behind the stage. I've been following this type of script for a long time. When the franchise is really committed to a long-term project with a player, it acts in a certain way. The speech is different. Opportunities appear in another way. Tolerance for errors exists, but it exists with purpose. When the franchise wants to keep options open, the tone changes. The margin decreases. And in recent weeks, signs have started to accumulate around one specific name. It is not an explicit scandal. It's not a direct statement. It is a set of small but consistent changes to the way the player is used, the type of responsibility he receives, in the confidence shown on the court. And the name at the center of it all is Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga is that type of talent that, when he arrived, it made sense to dream big. Lottery pick, impressive physique, athletic potential, flashes that make you get out of your chair and think, if he fits in, the ceiling is sky high. And yes, there is real value in that. It's not fantasy. It's true potential. The Warriors invested time, resources, and patience in his development. Steve Kerr has already spoken about his future with a tone that suggested, this thing is going to grow. And for a long time, it seemed like the plan was clear. Kuminga, as part of the next cycle, as an important piece alongside the transition that the team would try to make without losing competitiveness. But plans change when the result does not meet expectations. And this season has been tough for him. Whether coming from the bench or gaining space in bigger formations, the impact did not appear with the consistency that a team in fight-for-the-title mode needs. And here is an essential point. In a champion team, the standard is not to play well from time to time. The pattern is repeat effort, repeat concentration, repeat execution, especially on defense. The defensive intensity that decides playoff series cannot be intermittent. And on the other hand, offensive efficiency also needs to be at a level that justifies relevant minutes, especially in big games when every possession counts. What concerns an organization is not just errors. It's the trajectory. And when the trajectory, which seemed upward, starts to flatten, or worse, show signs of falling, red lights come on. It's not thinking. There are numbers, there is video, there is internal analysis, there are metrics. The front office doesn't make decisions like this based on fan sentiment. They take performance and realistic projection as standard. And this is where the story changes level, because the conversation stops being what we expect him to become and becomes what he is today within this context. Every team reaches a point where they need to choose between hope and reality, between potential and production, between what would be beautiful to see happen and what is, in fact, happening. And, according to ESPN's Anthony Slater, a reporter who covers the Warriors closely and has a history of access and credibility, Golden State reached exactly that decision point with Kuminga. The central information is straightforward. The Warriors should explore the trade market for Jonathan Kuminga in the coming weeks. What's more, the likelihood of a separation before the February 5th deadline is considered strong. Do you understand the weight of this? It's not a social media rumor. It is not interpretation. It's the type of news that points to active movement, to a franchise looking at real alternatives and calculating what's best for now. And this changes the understanding of how the organization sees the player. Suddenly, it stops being an untouchable asset and becomes a tradable asset. It doesn't mean it has no value. In fact, it means the opposite. It has enough value to be part of a change. And the Warriors, with Curry at a high level and Butler in this competitive cycle, cannot afford to wait indefinitely. The internal discourse, apparently, is aligned with a simple phrase: if an opportunity arises that better fits the objective of fighting for the title, the team is willing to act. And here I need to be very clear with you, because a lot of people confuse things. This isn't the Warriors gave up young. This isn't the Warriors abandoned development. This is recognition that fit matters. Sometimes a talented player and a specific situation don't fit together in the right way, even with everyone's efforts. Kuminga arrived at a team with established stars, with a very particular system, requiring movement without the ball, quick reading, decision-making, and constant defensive commitment. Not all talent grows better within this environment. Some players need to be more central. Others need a squad construction that highlights their strengths. Others need a clearer, more repeated, more predictable function to gain confidence. So there is a very real possibility that this change will be good for both sides. For Kuminga, a change could mean a fresh start. It could mean a place where he has more offensive responsibility, more freedom, more space to make mistakes and learn without each mistake costing him an important game. It could mean a system designed to take advantage of his physicality and aggression without competing with multiple all-stars for touches and decisions. And there are a lot of teams in the league that would look at a young, athletic wing with experience in a winning environment and think, I want to work with that. For the Warriors, the logic is different. The team needs pieces that help now, parts that fit Kerr's system, parts that and raise the team's floor, which brings consistency, which reduces the minutes in which the team loses, which strengthens defense, reading, and execution, because the Warriors may even be positioned as a playoff team. But there is a gap between reaching the playoffs and being a real title candidate. And the franchise knows this. The urgency is not theatrical. She is a mathematician. The February 5th deadline is approaching, and the window with Curry and Butler, as good as it is, won't stay open forever. And when you combine this context with the DNP against Chicago, the message becomes even stronger. That doesn't seem random. It seems like part of the final assessment. It seems like a moment when the coaching staff and management looked at the scenario and decided, we need to see what happens with other rotations. We need to measure other combinations. We need to understand what works when we remove this piece. In a champion team, these decisions have intentionality. When a player is in one game and completely out in another, it says a lot about where he is in the trust hierarchy. And here comes a phrase that may hurt some fans, but which tends to be true in moments like this. There comes a point when a player becomes worth more as a trade asset than as a rotation piece. That's not an insult. It is context diagnosis. The value of Kuminga exists. He is young, he has physique, he has potential, and that is attractive on the market. Precisely for this reason, it becomes the possible bridge for the type of movement that a win-now franchise needs to make. And what are the paths? There are several. The Warriors could try to package Kuminga with other assets to look for a high-level starter who addresses specific needs, could enter into a multi-team deal to bring depth and more reliable rotation minutes. You can, in some scenarios, trade 1-for-1 for someone who is underutilized in another franchise, but who could flourish in Golden State's system. The most important detail here is flexibility. Having a tradable asset gives the Warriors options, and options are power in the NBA, especially near the deadline. Steve Kerr has been in the league too long to not know when a player fits and when he doesn't. And the Warriors system requires very specific things: defensive versatility, movement without the ball, quick reading, decision-making, willingness to sacrifice individual statistics for collective flow. This is not a judgment of character. It's just the reality of the style. There are incredible players in the NBA who wouldn't perform at their best within this system because it demands very specific tools and habits. Anthony Slater himself, in the investigation, indicates that it simply didn't work for Kuminga in the Bay. This is the diplomatic way of saying that the experiment has reached a conclusion. And sometimes, that's exactly it. Everyone tries, everyone works, but the result doesn't appear at the level that the objective demands. At some point, professionalism dictates accepting reality and moving on. No unnecessary drama, without turning it into a toxic narrative, because breakups in sports happen all the time, and many of them are beneficial. What stands out, and here's the part that can excite a lot of people, is the signal it sends about mindset. The Warriors are not satisfied with going in and seeing what happens. He's not expecting a late-fitting miracle. He's willing to make tough decisions to maximize his chance to truly compete while Curry and Butler sustain that level. This is the mentality that builds dynasties: aggressiveness, clarity, priority on the greater objective. Now, I want to bring you into this conversation honestly, because I know this topic divides any fan community. There will be people who will say, it's about time. There will be people who will feel frustrated because they invested emotionally in Kuminga's development, saw the best moves, imagined the future version of him dominating. And I understand both sides. The fan clings to the promise because the promise is beautiful. However, a champion franchise cannot hold on to its promise if the promise does not turn into delivery on time. The Warriors have been through this before. The franchise chose James Wiseman high in the draft, invested time, insisted, and then decided to follow another path when it became clear that the fit wasn't going to happen. And, like it or not, the team continued moving, making adjustments, looking for alternatives that would make the squad more functional. Sometimes subtraction becomes addition. Sometimes taking out a part that isn't working unlocks the surrounding gear. And if this reading is confirmed, the next few weeks promise to be intense. Close to the deadline, the entire league accelerates. Names start to appear. Packages become an issue. Backstage heats up. And the mere fact that the Warriors made Kuminga available changes the map of what is possible. It means the team is willing to move. It means you are not comfortable with the current construction. It means you believe there are better options on the market for this immediate goal. And that's exactly why I'm calling you to pay attention right now. Because when an organization of this size makes a decision like this, it is not on impulse. It is by window reading. It's urgent. It's because of a sense of opportunity. And if the trade happens, it will say a lot about the type of team the Warriors want to be between now and the end of the season. Now, I really want to hear from you. Do you support the Warriors exploring trades for Kuminga? Would you prefer to invest a little more in development and fit, or do you think the moment calls for immediate action? And, if you are on the swap team, what type of player do you want to see coming? A veteran with a strong defense, a starter that stabilizes rotations, more depth for the minutes when Curry rests. Write this because this debate is what makes the community more intelligent, with different views, and because the best ideas often emerge precisely in the comments. In the end, the most realistic reading is simple. The status quo wasn't delivering what a team with Curry and Butler needs. The window won't wait. And if moving a talented young man for a better fit increases the chance of fighting for another title, that's what champion franchises do. They choose the difficult now to reap the great later. And from now until February 5th, the subject will gain new chapters. If the Warriors really hit the ground running and turn this availability into a trade, it will be one of those moves that today seems controversial, but tomorrow may seem obvious. That's how history works in sport. The decision hurts at the time. Logic appears when the result comes. If you want to follow every news, every rumor with a filter, every update with context, stay with me. Because if this is the direction the Warriors have chosen, then what lies ahead is not just market noise. It's a real attempt to adjust the squad to compete at a high level. And when Golden State decides to go into aggressive mode, the entire league pays attention. And this is exactly where everything connects. Golden State isn't just considering a trade, it's not testing the waters out of curiosity. You are making a weighty decision, typical of a franchise that understands the value of the moment it is experiencing. When a team with Curry playing at this level and with Butler bringing a big game mentality decides to act, it's not out of anxiety, it's out of conviction. This move could redefine the season, adjust the direction of the squad, and who knows, be the missing step to put the Warriors back at the center of the title fight. Now, if you want to understand every detail of what could happen from here, all the possible scenarios, the names that could emerge, the behind the scenes that are moving, and how each decision directly impacts the future of the team, don't stop here. In the pinned comment, I left the Golden State Warriors News Today playlist, where I follow everything in real time, without noise, without empty speculation, just clear analysis and real context. Click there, watch the next videos, and stay up to date, because this story is still far from over, and the next chapters could change everything for the Golden State.